there's really two main things to look for. There's two important facts with telemarketing, and you're going to know. It's time to speed, right? So like time to lead. So when a storm hits, you have to go quick, because the way that the telemarketing dynamic works is there's not just one telemarketing company in the world. There's not just one roofing company in the world.
This is the Real Construction Owners Podcast. What's going on, everyone? Justin Ledford here. I'm the host of Real Construction Owners Podcast, where we interview real construction owners of multi-million-dollar construction companies, so you can go from being a stressed out operator to becoming a real owner who achieves healthy profit margins and a thriving business without having to figure out all by yourself. Today, we have a special guest named Malachi Makin, who's an expert at generating recruits and leads for construction companies. He's extremely successful in getting construction companies leads and recruits like clockwork. And if you listen all the way till the end, you'll get to hear how he gave out a lead to one of his clients that generated that client over $2 million on one commercial construction deal. Let's go.
Welcome to the Real Construction Owners Podcast. Justin Ledford here with Malachi Makin, and welcome, brother.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, man. So talk to us. What was your background before you got into construction? Let our audience know how that opened your eyes to the type of profits and what you can do to serve communities.
Yeah, so I actually got into this industry by accident. So about 6 years ago, six and a half years ago or so, I don't come from any of this, man. I was working at a gym, and I was aspiring to open up a business and figure out how to really make it and kind of get out of this 9 to 5, slave labor that I had. And what I did is, I got connected up with a gentleman, and I started learning how to cold call people. So I started cold calling all these businesses, and then that kind of fired off into, hey, I've got fired. Now I move into this agency model, because I started in the construction industry as an agency owner. So, 6 years ago, that's what I did, man. I started in the lead generation space, slinging leads, and that, if you, whatever you want to call it, it's a good and a bad, right? There's a lot of stigma between lead guys in the industry of, oh, you don't need leads, or, oh, you do need leads. Well, you can't live with us. You can't live without us.
I buy leads. I generate millions and millions and millions of dollars in business from people I pay for leads.
It's all about how your guys are trained, man. And when I got connected up into the industry, that's kind of what happened. And I started doing the lead stuff. And then fast forward that, like 4 years later of doing leads and lead generation and recruiting for companies, I remember one of the things that really irked me was I had this commercial program, and I had 40 agents out of the Philippines, and I hired this entire team. My overhead was about 13 grand a month for 40 agents, man. And now don't get me wrong, they're living good. I mean, they're like, you look it up, and I always had like this weird conundrum, because you look up their salary and you're paying them equivalent to like what a doctor's getting paid. And you're like, this is crazy. They're working for you, and they're kicking butt, and they're happy, they're having a good life. So it was like 37 agents, and I was paying about 12, 13 grand a month, and we were generating about 20 to 30 commercial appointments a day. And what happened was I wanted to get in the industry and really offer a very valuable thing. So I was selling commercial appointments at that time for like $125 a piece with a 2% gross on the back. And, I mean, I must have had over like and this was a short-lived thing because I just kind of got sick of it, but it probably went on for about 4 months, this product. I serviced, I'd say about 90 clients over 4 months. And I mean, we were really churning out a lot of appointments. And there was only a handful of people that actually paid their commission. And I remember, I remember, it's funny in this industry, it's everybody that said they wouldn't pay were the ones that did pay. Like all those guys that were like, oh, he's a scumbag, he's not going to pay you, he's this and this. They were the ones that paid. But the other guys that were running their mouth, I never got $1 from. So it was kind of, man, it's the human nature. It's unfortunate. It's, and that's why I really appreciate you, man, because I like this industry, man. I made a good living from this industry. I'm blessed to this industry. And I just feel like there's so many dogmatic, like knucklehead conundrums that we all attack each other, and I can't stand it. So what happened was, I remember one of my buddies out of Houston, he landed a $2.5 million commercial job. He got it approved, got paid, got funded. And all of a sudden you don't hear from them for 6-7 months. And you're like, come on, man. And, you don't take it to heart, and I get it, stuff happens, man. Money makes people weird. But, so from that point on, I just like, you know what, I got to start being more savvy. So I was like, all right, well, let's revamp everything. So I remember I went to my attorney. I had a big old 14-page contract created. So where it's like, hey, I'm having access to this, make sure everything gets paid. I never had to actually go and force majeure anybody on that contract now, which is awesome. But, that's kind of where I was like, man, this industry needs to get better. But I remember I got really annoyed. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to open up my own roofing company. So I posted a Facebook page, and I have a lot of connections in this industry. I have a group, roofrecruitment.com group. If you go on Facebook and look it up, roof and solar recruitment, there's 2,600 contractors and sales reps in there. So I went in there and I said, look, who wants to open up a partnership with me? One of the guys that I actually sold leads to about 4 years prior when I opened up my business reached out to me, says, you know what, Malachi, he's like, man, I bought tons of leads from you and I've signed a lot of them. So he's like, yeah, thanks, man. Yeah. And, it's awesome. And so when he reached out to me, I said, let's do it. So I said, how much do you want? So I put some money down. We opened up a 50-50 partnership, and then bam, now I'm in the construction industry. So I'm like, hey, business, that's kind of how it started, from moving from this agency model, lead generation, recruiting, to actually getting into the construction industry with him.
And in that business, you worked with, you basically put some money in, started a construction company, partnered up in different markets. And how much revenue did you produce in that amount of time? You said it was 18 months that you worked, you were partnering with that company.
Well, yeah. So it was a little bit less. It's probably about 15 months, and we did 6.3 million in 15 months. So we started in Orlando, and now he was the license holder. So he did all the construction, all the building and stuff. And my only job was recruiting and lead generation, because that's what I do. I know where to get the guys. I have a lot of connections, and that's just kind of what happened. And I know how to get the leads because I've done it for a long time. So I did that side, he did the other side. So we started in Florida. We ended up scaling up to about 15 guys. And we had a lot of issues on the way here in Florida because, when you're first starting out, man, I like to say it was all butterflies and rainbows, but it's not. When you start building this stuff and you realize your guys are giving away skylights and not writing proper stuff down, the material order's wrong, and you don't have checks and balances, because he was only a year and a half into the business. I don't know a lick about roofing. I know enough that I can get a roof bought. I mean, so I did 6.3 million in that business, which was thankfully because everybody else knew what they were doing. But what happened was I've only sold 3 roofs. That's it, man. I was never one to really like get up on the roof and figure it out and do this. But that's okay. I just try to stay in my lane and use my strengths and let other people use their strengths. And I think that's how the synergy was. And so what happened was, we learned a lot, and, our guys were on a gross pay plan at first, and we found out, hey, they're giving away the kitchen sink with everything. We'll give you this, we'll give you that. And then there was no checks and balances. So, you start losing money and you're like, dude, what's happening? Why did this roof cost me $4,000? Why didn't I make $4,000? So then we moved over to a net profit pay plan, and then you run into a whole issue there. You get the guys that if they don't have money, well, can I get a draw? Can I get this? Can I get that? Because you don't know what they're getting paid until the cap out at the end of the build. So, unless you're giving them some type of draw up front or some type of contractual sign bonus, they're kind of really living on a prayer unless they actually are financially secure. So I took all these things and I moved them into like the recruiting aspect. And I said, you know what, there's certain people I want to work with and there's certain people I don't want to work with. And when I sold out of that roofing company, now what I'm really focusing on is essentially the recruitment side and the lead generation side, to implement these strategies that I use to build my company and to grow it to be effective with others and get really not an equity share, but really a profit share on the backside. So like, for instance, I don't want a guy that, that comes to me and says, you know what, Malachi, look, man, I can sell 12 roofs a week. All you got to do, give me a gas card, give me a truck, give me a plane ticket, give me a $3,000 house a month that you're going to pay for, give me food, give me a back massage, and give me a foot rub. It's like, oh, dude, I'm not, it's not going to happen. Because if you're selling 12 roofs a week, you don't need any of that, buddy. You can pay, you're a grown man. So that's kind of, and unfortunately, because I was so zealous at the beginning of my roofing company, I fell victim to a couple of those guys, and you believe them and you're like, okay, great. And you find out they're crackheads. And then it's just like, man, so I digress, but man, the industry. So that's kind of what happened. And, we kicked butt. And then, from Orlando, we went over into Austin, Texas. And then from Austin, I had some people over in San Antonio. And we know we really sprouted this up. And I actually own a small equity share in a larger company called My Titan Roofing USA. And what My Titan is we did the same thing. We opened up 8 offices in like 6 months, and I'm still a part owner in that company. But I have a specific strategy to where I can plant offices wherever. And I tell everybody I get on the phone with, I'm like, look, if you can do the production, and if you have crews, and if you have a license if it's needed, and you can make sure you build these things, I'll get the reps and I'll get the leads. All you do is build. And that's kind of what.
How do you work that deal out for somebody who can handle the production? How do you work that kind of deal out with the owner of that construction company?
So, it was really hard, man, at first, because I'm still looking for the best way to do it. Right now, the way that everything is compensated is I typically get a percentage off the backside from the guys, whether it be net or gross, and then I get a fee for a 12-week retainer. So I come in as like a marketing and recruitment officer, and it's typically about what they're paying their office administrative staff if they're paying them good. And it's a 3-month thing. I come in and I just mass produce as many sales reps and as much growth as I can. Like, there's other people in this industry that do this quote unquote recruiting stuff. And, they're glorified pimps. Really, they are. They'll say, hey, you know what? I'll sell you a sales rep. Give me $9,000. I'm going to give you 1 sales rep. I mean, I'm not a human trafficker, so I don't do it like that. I don't think it's cool, man. I have guys that get on my phone and they have this stigma, and they talk with my team and they say, hey, you know what? I only need 1 sales rep, man. Can I give you like 10 grand for a sales rep? And I'm like, no, I'm not. It's not like drugs. It's like we partner together and we grow this and we actually work together, but I'm not here to like just sell you a guy. Like, that's weird. Yeah. And I just didn't want to take that approach, man. I wanted to do the more approach of like, and I tell everybody, I'm like, look, and I try to keep it conservative because it depends on the market. It really does.
It's like human trafficking. I bought a few sales reps
I know
before,
more
so
people
I totally
in
get
certain areas. And they say to me, well, how many sales reps do I get over this 12 weeks? And I'm like, look, honestly, let me be real. Typically, I like to say 3 to 6 reps. Okay, that's what I usually say because it's safe. It sounds believable. It sounds fun. It sounds awesome, right? 3 to 6 reps. If you can't justify 3 to 6 reps for what I'm going to do, then it's not going to work. Typically, it ends up becoming a lot more, especially if their culture and their benefits are good. I had a guy over in Orlando, Florida. He wanted to work with me, and then I seen a post, and he posted, and he said, hiring sales reps, truck provided, gas card provided. And I'm like, dude, I could have brought sales reps and not given them anything. I would have had them pay you to work for you. You're giving them all this stuff. I mean, oh my goodness, how can you not hire guys like this? So, I come in at this level to where it's like, I'm really trying to advocate, and I'm trying to get, mature, responsible, high octane guys that understand they got to grind, man.
For sure. What would you say is your biggest tip for an owner who is looking to grow their business and increase their profits using marketing? Because like you said, there is a stigma in this realm. But what would you say is your biggest tip for an owner looking to build their business and use marketing?
So I would say you got to be a little bit everywhere. Try different things, man. Don't be scared. Don't be scared to invest money. Like, I remember, and also you got to be smart. Like, you need to talk with somebody. Like, the way that I position myself is I help consult people because, for instance, okay, 6 years ago, I would have said, Justin, I'll tell you what, man, I'll blow your company up. I'll get you a whole bunch of Google Maps set up. I'll do X, Y, and Z. Give me 20 grand and you're going to make a bunch of money. And then you're going to pay me $5,000 a month. Everybody still does that. That's how they work. They want this, like, this consecutive, like you're their money, and they try to keep you. I don't do that anymore. So what I would do, and what I suggest for them, is find somebody. It doesn't have to be me, man. Do some research on YouTube or something. Like, learn. For instance, like, if you were to do some like Google Maps, I remember in Florida, I had 50 websites built up. You can type in the Pro Choice Roofing. You can look it up. You'll see all the different websites, Google listings. I paid $200 a map. Now, I mean, there's guys, and the reason there's literally people that will charge you. They'll say, listen, give me 15, 20 grand and I'll do X, Y, and Z for SEO. And they'll take your 15 grand, they'll go to a website and they'll buy 5 or 6 things that's worth $1,000 and they'll call it a day. That's literally all they have to do. And you're going to get results because you don't know any better. So there's better ways to use your money. So do research and, do some guerrilla stuff. I mean, use Facebook. Facebook's super powerful. Build a group, build a local community group, have your office administrator take your website, go into there, make it mandatory that she posts something nice with a picture of herself or a picture of your logo or a picture of your team, drop it in 3 or 4 groups every single day. Now, all of a sudden you're getting free traffic from Facebook. And she's already hired. You don't have to pay her anything extra. You just add it. It's not, 30 seconds a day. You start doing those kind of things. If you have sales reps, these guys are a little bit harder to get to do stuff. But, if you have sales reps, same thing, man. Look, you want to make money, you want to grow, you want to make more than $7,000 a month and actually, sell more than 4 roofs a month. Okay, well then kick butt, man. Do what I say and actually fulfill it. Don't just otherwise everything's theory, right? I told my guys all the time, I'm like, look, take a picture of yourself, post it on Facebook. All this is free stuff. You don't have to spend $1 on any of that. You can hire some callers. You can go to Google, type in Mexico call centers, look up a call center, pay somebody $4 an hour and hire a caller. You can do it with Philippines, although I wouldn't recommend Philippines. Been there, done that. But you got to find, you got to think outside, man. Think like if I was hiring somebody, if I was to hire Malachi, what is Malachi doing to cut all his costs so he can make profit? That's what you need to do. You need to think on the person you're hiring, and you need to keep going, because eventually you're going to hit a wall and you're going to need help, which is cool. And that's why you pay people like us, right, to help us. But you need to really don't just stop at the forefront. You need to really dig deeper, man. Look for the center as far as you can in terms of marketing. That way you can actually grow and you're cutting your costs of everything. That's what does that help, man?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's funny you said that, because my business for over a decade now has been run by people in the Philippines for administrative stuff, not necessarily making calls, scheduling appointments. So talk to us about, telemarketing, because for myself, every single year we generate literally millions, probably $2-3+ million in business from telemarketing appointments after a storm. Talk to our contractors who don't currently do that. Maybe they're insurance, maybe they're not insurance, how that could benefit them.
Sure. So with telemarketing, the main thing obviously is, I make sure, because that's where I started in the industry was telemarketing. You got to make sure that you have a good storm market. And there's really 2 main things to look for. There's 2 important facts with telemarketing, and you're going to know. It's time to speed, right? So time to lead. So when a storm hits, you have to go quick, because the way that the telemarketing dynamic works is there's not just one telemarketing company in the world. There's not just one roofing company in the world, especially if you're in a market like Houston or DFW. Let's use DFW, for example. There's tons of roofers. So when a storm hits, all those roofers, they all call everybody trying to get leads. And then now you have for every one roofer, you have 20 telemarketers. So now you figure, if I got 1,000 roofers, I got 20,000 or so telemarketers that are all calling the same people over and over and over and over. So what happens in that scenario is you have a limited number of time to make it happen. So you show up, you get to the appointment, you pitch this homeowner on this idea of, hey, listen, we can help you with your roof claim. You do have damage. That's the way telemarketing set up. It's set up for a free inspection. I'm going to get up there. I'm going to show you the damage. I'm going to see if you have any. If it's claimable, they don't usually know what that means. But if it is, you should probably move forward, because you only have a year before now all of a sudden you got to pay $30,000 instead of a $2,500 deductible. So, there's a sales pitch in there. But what happens, I think, the negative stigma in telemarketing, and unfortunately, I've had this when I first started my business, is roofing companies, because if they're not in this light, they're so used to referrals. Referrals are laydowns. It's easy if your friend Joe calls you and says, hey, man, I got a roof. He comes, but sure, yeah, great, awesome, I'll help you out. But when you're cold calling somebody and you're showing up and the homeowner doesn't really know what they're getting, you got to be a salesman, man. You got to be able to, you have to be able to take them through the process. You have to be able to maneuver them forward without seeming pushy or like a jerk. So when I first started in the business of telemarketing, I didn't set proper expectations. And then I had roofers show up. This was before I had my roofing company. I had roofers show up and they'd be like, oh, cool, I'm here to sign a roof up. We're going to be rich and you're going to get a free roof and blah, 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 whatever, however they worded it. And there was no training, there's no connection, no understanding, man. So telemarketing will absolutely make you good money. I have a lot of guys right now in Minnesota that were working that storm. Man, we've probably done $8-9 million in the last 2 weeks. Well, maybe 3 weeks up in just Minnesota alone, just nice. From telemarketing. And then, I have guys that they've never had leads. They've never paid for leads. And they're like, I mean, it's awesome. And when you get those messages and they're like, Malachi, this is so crazy, man, this is awesome. And then you have guys in other markets and it's like, look, I don't recommend this market because there's not enough storm damage. And they message you, hey, look, man, I ran 3 leads. I didn't get to sign any, I got on the roofs. There's just no damage. I know, because you didn't listen. There's no damage there. You don't want that kind of lead somewhere where it's a retail market, so that you have to know the pros and cons of telemarketing.
So I want to unpack that, because I'm a firm believer of you got to sell the deal, especially if it's a cold lead. A telemarketing lead is a cold lead.
Sure.
So you actually have to go there with a smile on your face. You have to let them know what they're about to get, and you have to assume the sale. So is your gate open in your backyard? Do you have any dogs in your backyard? Like you have to basically assume that they're going to say, yeah, oh, okay. And I like that you said that. Do you do telemarketing for solar leads?
I don't. It's not a product. I've done it in the past. It's just not a product that I push. I can help people and point them in the right direction. It's just not something I'm spearheading right now.
I totally hear you. So as far as how the owners who are listening can benefit working with you, what if you were to concise it and consolidate it down, like what can you do for an owner based that you used to be an owner, you created a bunch of millions of dollars in business, but now you're targeting it on helping owners. What is that that you do?
So I tell them very simply, it's what I would do is this. It's if you need like a marketing recruitment officer, if you need somebody who's run a successful recruiting and advertising firm for the past 6 years, who's built a successful multi-million-dollar roofing company and sold out of it within 14 months or so, what I can help you with is hire sales reps that actually fit your culture. I'm not, we're not looking for just jerk offs that are just like fly by night, and help you with the lead generation. Because a lot of these guys, and I talk with homeowners, I talk with roofers all the time, and they say, I give my guys 10, 50, 50s. In some markets, you have to do that. Like the Texas markets, it's mainly 10, 50, 50 because everybody would be like, well, I'll just go open up my own business. But I mean, there's guys in like licensed states that give 10, 50, 50s that you don't need to do that. You really don't. So taking a holistic approach and a holistic view and kind of having an outside eye at, where's your profitability in your business? How are you actually spending your money? Oh, you're spending $5,000 a month on Facebook. Okay, perfect. Show me what you're actually getting from that. 95% of the time, they have no idea. Well, I don't know. I get a few calls. Why? I mean, with $5,000, you can get 50 to 100 successful leads, and you're going to close 25 to 45% of them. At least now and that's all depending on damage. If you're talking insurance stuff, at least now. So it's about taking a look and helping you guys maximize where you're spending money. If you can put $350 to $700 in for one roof sale, I don't care where the lead comes from. I don't care if it's somebody out knocking a door. I don't care if it's a phone book and somebody randomly called. If you know, hey, this roof cost me $500, no matter where I got this lead, doesn't matter. Okay, well, you can scale because you put $5,000 a day down. Now all of a sudden, hey, I just sold 10 roofs and I spent $5,000.
Yep.
Is it worth it? Well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. It could be worth it because especially if your guys are trained properly. So you sold 10 roofs. Well, those 10 roofs are going to have 10 referrals.
Yep.
So now you got 20 roofs. Now your cost per acquisition is $250. Yep. So I think it's thinking logically and helping homeowners. I keep saying that, helping like owners really understand their numbers, man, because nobody understands that, but as a metrics and as an analytical guy, you have to know that, especially when you're advertising. Otherwise, you're just throwing money out, hoping something works.
What are your goals right now? What are you working on? What are you excited about?
So right now I've been really focusing on building up this roof recruitment group. So it's, heavy on the roof and the roofing and solar industry for recruitment. We've got 2,600 sales reps and owners in there right now, just building this up, shooting a lot more content. I've freed up, like I said, because I was so busy the last year and a half or so with the roofing company, I freed up a lot of time. So I'm pivoting really on this advertising angle to get back in here to help guys out as much as I can. Like I said, I've been in this industry for 6 years. So I've always been here, and I just want to be able to support and help guys that really want to grow. And I want to get tied up with guys that are good, man. I know there's a lot of really, really awesome guys in this industry. And I feel like there's a lot of guys who may be led by illicit individuals who muddy the waters. if you will. And I'm not saying I'm no saint. I'm just saying I feel like, this industry as a whole, when you think about, all the different industry heads, and I'm not going to use anybody's names, it's like I feel like everybody's really trying to work together. And I feel like if we can all work together better, then we'd be able to help everybody so much more instead of having like cliques and stuff. So really I want to come in, man, and I've been focusing on building this out to really help pull everybody in and do the best I can with, just bringing the piece that I feel that I can bring that's value, that's positive, and that's uplifting.
1,000 true fans. It sounds like you're putting in the work. You're trying to find people who match with what you're doing. Sure. And I've used your service before. I did generate leads from it, and I did generate revenue, so I can vouch for it. Malachi, I appreciate you getting on the call today. Before we get off this call, how can somebody reach out to you who's looking to hire you or get referrals from you or get leads from you through your telemarketing platform? How can they reach out to you?
Sure. So the best way to do it is I have a national build commercial page. So you can go to www.buildcommercial.us, and then you can click on the partner section. You'll see there's over 32 something partners right now that are all national roofing commercial entities that also I can help you and assist you with residential stuff and the recruitment stuff. But yeah, so the easiest way is to just go to that website, the www.buildcommercial.us, click on partner, and then either myself or somebody from the team will follow up and then figure out, if there's synergy there and if I can help.
I love this. I appreciate you so much, brother. Thanks for being on the call today.
Thanks, buddy. Have a good day. Bye.